Yo, what's up everyone? It's your boy, Benny, back here again with another Final Fantasy VII challenge run. And today we got a lot to get into, so let's just jump right in. Okay, so as you probably already saw, the Echo S mod is finally out thanks to the Sunamods team and community for working so hard on it. And we'll go over more of that here soon, but first we have to outline what this run is before we go over any of the cool stuff. Today, we will be answering the question of, can we beat Final Fantasy VII within the Canon timeline? And what does that mean? Well, according to the Livestream.net, where you can find the chronological timeline of the Final Fantasy VII universe, the original Final Fantasy VII takes place over the course of 44 days from start to finish. But Benny, how can we track that in the game, you might ask? And dear friend, I have the answer to that right here. See, with the full release of the Echo S mod for Final Fantasy VII, a day and night cycle was added as a feature, as well as a calendar system to create a more immersive experience. Now, I couldn't figure out how to set the date to be exact, but we can still follow the 44-day time limit with the calendar system. In real-time versus in-game time, it works out that 1 hour of real-time play equals 1.88, or rather just short of 2 days in-game. And we have a lot to get done in those 44 days. So, the rules, or rather, the goals of this run will be 1. Unlocking every character for the party. 2. Obtain each character's final weapon. 3. Obtain each character's final limit break. And 4. Gather all 4 huge materia before finally completing the main story of the game before the 44th day expires. So, let's go over some of the big features of the mods in use. First, Echo S is a mod that adds full voiceover for the entire game to include NPCs, as well as some changes here and there to include some minor rework to portions of the game and puzzles. A day and night calendar system, reworked music, battle dialogue and efforts, as well as auto text scrolling to accompany all of the beautiful voice work. Aside from Echo S, I also have texture packs from Avalanche Arisen and Sunamods HD world textures, which updates the battle screens and general world backgrounds. Updated character models, screen UI, and the 60 FPS mod to make viewing as enjoyable as possible. Looking over the interface and getting our game config set up, you can see that we are starting on the evening of January 31st, which means that our deadline for completion falls on March 16th. Now, I am going to show the entirety of the opening bombing mission to showcase the mods in use and let you all appreciate some of the Echo S before we start trucking through the rest of the run. So, we'll sit back and relax for a bit as the opening plays out, and if you don't want to sit through all of that, the more curated part of the run begins right around the 20-minute mark, if you want to just jump right into the meat and potatoes of this. So, sit back and relax. I'm going to cut out here and let the intro roll, but I will jump back into a few places to point out some of the mod effects, and just generally chat about some of the stuff.
Hard to believe we got a guy like you in a group like Avalanche.
So, what's Soldier Boy's deal? Is he one of us now? Thought they were the enemy.
He isn't Soldier anymore, Jesse. Besides, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. What was your name again?
Cloud Strife.
Cloud Strife, eh? I'm
Not interested. Once this job's over, I'm out of here.
What did I do?
In this is this nice sunset orange on the world map and the battle screens. But since we are about to transition into dusk, we can watch it happen here if we go back out onto the catwalks.
So,
Did you forget?
oh, I remember. I know full well that you've been Shinra's lapdog. Bet you guys just eat up everything they tell you, huh? Like what Mako is. Well, let me tell you what they won't. Mako's not just some energy source. It's the lifeblood of the planet. And Shinra's using all this crap to suck it dry.
You're not paying me to listen, so save it.
You right. Looks like we gotta keep Lapdog on a tight leash.
Push that button for me, will ya?
This reactor's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. And one day, it'll all be gone. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Can you really live with that?
I can and I will. I'd worry less about the planet, and more about what's waiting for us down there.
Press confirm in front of a ladder to grab onto it. Then move up or down.
when we blow. All right, left.
Shooting you.
As far as I'm.
Wake up. This isn't just a reaction. What is it?
Huh?
I said, what is it? Something wrong?
I'm fine.
What in the hell? You better not have double-crossed us!
Let's just get this over with. Barret, be careful! Don't attack when its tail is up. It will counterattack with its laser. The alarm. Come on, we gotta move.
5 minutes to detonation.
All right.
Stop.
Ooh, that should keep the planet going. At least a little longer.
Yeah! The planet's what matters. This had to have helped.
Can't wait to see Marlene.
And she's good to go. Now stand clear. Fire in the hole!
on fire!
All right, let's get our asses home. We'll rendezvous on the train. Split up and make your way to Sector 8 station.
Hey, wait!
If it's about your money, you can have it. Once we're back at base.
Excuse me. Has something happened?
Don't worry. Flowers, huh?
Oh, these? You like them? They're only a gil each.
Sure, why not?
Oh, thank you, kind sir. Here, this is for you. Papa!
Marlene, aren't you gonna say hello to Cloud? Welcome back, Cloud. Looks like the mission went well. You didn't argue with Barrett, did you?
Ask him.
I might have known. That's so typical of Barrett. And when you were little, you got into fights at the drop of a hat. I was kinda worried. Where'd you get that flower? I can't remember the last time I saw a real one. They hardly ever grow in the slums. But if someone gave you a flower, then... Oh, I get it.
It's not what you think. Give it to Tifa.
Cloud, how sweet. When did you get so thoughtful? Maybe I should fill the whole bar with flowers.
Papa, welcome home!
Hi, Barrett.
Yo! Guys, we're starting the meeting.
Grab a seat. So, what'll it be? Something to drink?
Give me something hard.
Just a second. It'll be ready in no time. You know, I'm glad you made it back safely.
What's with you all of a sudden? That job was nothing.
I guess not. You were in Soldier. Get your money from Barrett, okay?
Don't worry. Once I've been paid, I'm gone.
Cloud, how do you feel?
Same as always, I guess. Why'd you ask?
Oh, it's nothing. You look a bit tired, that's all.
But now that you have had that little taste of the mod, we are back now on the second bombing mission with Tifa in the party as we crawl our way through the Midgar underground. We take our slide down into the reactor and begin our final descent to plant the bomb. But we'll take a little bit of time here and showcase some of the battles, mostly just to show the models off, because everything looks really nice. And it plays super smooth, visually. It's really just nice. How much work went into all of this, and it's really nice to be able to sit down and play this game again with such a fresh feel to it from all of the work that all of the mod creators have done. Anyways, we have our flashback as Cloud, and we set the bomb. getting ready to climb our way out of the reactor and up to President Shinra, where we are going to fight the Airbuster. But first, it is everybody's favorite minigame, the door switch. And we get it on 1, 2, 3rd times the charm. Just before we get set upon by some of Shinra's guard dogs. Now, I can't really stress to you enough that the Midgar section of any run is very straightforward. And as such, it really just turns into a game of hold the attack button for the majority of it. But the models do look really nice in these new mods, so I just wanted to showcase a little bit of it. And leading into the next portion, the Airbuster, as a boss, not super difficult. I mean, everybody should know at this point that you wait for him to turn his back, you avoid the big bomber, or guard against the big bomber the best you can, let it charge up your limit breaks, and you let Cloud throw lightning at him over and over and over again to get through the fight. So, what I am going to do at this point is I'm going to talk a little bit about the party. See, in the majority of my runs, I always use Cloud for, well, obvious reasons. Red 13, because Red 13 is best boy. And then I just fill the last slot with whoever I want, really. But most of the time, it turns out to be Sid, Vincent, or... well, yeah, actually, usually it's Sid and Vincent. And in this one, I think I'm just going to stick with the original 3. Barret, Tifa, and Cloud.
Tifa, go! No!
Cloud! No! Tifa, no! Damn it! Cloud! Come on!
That's right. Even the FMVs have voice acting now. So that's really cool. It adds some more depth to a lot of the scenes, and we'll showcase some of them as they come up. But we fall into the church, we meet Aerith and Reno, before we play everybody's second favorite minigame of Protect Aerith.
Aerith! Oh, crap. Damn, what's that? Aerith! Use the barrel, push the barrel.
So with that, after we barrel bonk a lot of Shinra troops, sadly not Reno, but we escape from these slums, find Tifa being carted away to Don Corneo's mansion. We stay at Aerith's house to get access to the cover materia, which Cloud will be using a lot. We go through the process of doing our squats so that we can fit into our pretty dress and get ready to go rescue Tifa from Don Corneo's fun dungeon. Now, we do all of that, the Don throws us down into the sewers, and then we had a game crash, and I had to do all of that over again. Before dropping into the sewers, where Tifa decided to sack tap apps just a little too hard, and he didn't like that, so he let us go. After that, we navigate our way through the train graveyard with Aerith, Tifa, and Cloud before we make our way all the way back to Sector 7 and find it under assault by the Shinra troops. Avalanche valiantly stands their grounds, but ultimately, the fight is a losing battle, and we watch as Wedge falls from the top of the tower all the way down to the ground below where we stand. Now, the next part coming up, we send Aerith away to go find Marlene. Tifa and Cloud begin to ascend, but first we save, and as we go to head up the tower, we experience our second game crash, and I have to do, well, all of that over again. But on a reload, everything goes well, and we begin our ascent to the top of the tower to meet Barret. Everything's going well at this point, no further game crashes. We meet up with Barret, and we begin the boss fight with Reno which, super simple.
Try and break it.
Break the pyramids, focus your attacks, keep the heals up, use your limits. It's Midgar. It's smooth sailing for now.
That's right.
So, we finish off Reno, just in time to watch the support for the Sector 7 plate begin to crumble. We watch as it begins to collapse, and then we begin to hitch a ride on the Wallace Express 5000 and swing our way to safety as Sector 7, once again, falls to dust behind us. The following day, after the collapse, we make our climb up to Shinra HQ, and with stalwart resolution, we are bound and determined to get our favorite flower girl back from the hands of President Shinra. We rush in, with 39 days remaining. We begin our ascent of Shinra Tower. Now, Shinra Tower does have some changes in it to go along with the puzzles that are found within, so I'm not going to go in depth on those. If you get the mod, you can play it and experience it. But ultimately, we make our way through the tower. We free Aerith and Red and begin our boss fight with the Hojo specimen that was being held in captivity and also broke free. The fight is pretty standard. I'm gonna say that a lot. I mean, this is essentially just a casual playthrough, but on a time attack. Currently, we have 39 days remaining out of the 44 that we started with, and we are almost done with the Midgar section. So, this boss fight is a lot of, Barry is our heal bot for now, and his duty is to heal everybody. Red is to cast fire. Everybody focuses on the main husk in the back, and the fight goes rather smoothly, even though people get poisoned. Following the experiment, we find the president was murdered with Sephiroth's sword. And the new president, Rufus Shinra, shows up to take his place as the rightful heir of the Shinra Electric Power Company. An electric power company with a private military. That part always threw me for a loop. Now, party split happens. We have to face the elevator bosses. And the strategy for this one, it's pretty standard. Aerith is now our healer, but in between healing, Aerith is going to be throwing grenades out. Likewise, Red's going to be casting fire, and Barret is going to be shooting or casting thunder. Fight is very simple, although as a child I can remember this fight being very annoying. I don't recall why. skill issue. That's what it was. Ultimately, that's what it was. It's what it boils down to. I was a very incompetent child. But ultimately, fight goes smoothly. Phase 1 goes down without a problem. Phase 2, as you'll see, sets us up for some limit breaks. We're still throwing grenades, spells, everything. This is a very long elevator ride, by the way. And Barrett decides to take a nap. That's just how easy it is. Barrett is taking a nap.
These rings shall purify.
Now the rest of the fight goes pretty much the same. Barrett wakes up, we get a heal off, a couple of spells fire off, and then Barrett finishes it off with the big shot. And now, with the elevator boss fights out of the way, we have Cloud versus Rufus on the roof. Oh, and the Poochie, the protective Poochie. So we start everything off by poisoning the two while they're throwing Protect. Then we take out the dog, and this turns into a big light show because, well, our physical damage is garbage compared to our magic output at this point. Nah, even braver. Like, no, it's just not a good time. Lightning, over and over and over again. Poison ticking away in the background. It's a Rufus fight. It's very underutilized character.
That's all for today.
He has one showcase, and that's it.
Follow me.
Now, once all of that is done, we get our escape from the tower, since it has been surrounded by Shinra troops. There we go. And as we prepare to leap our way onto the streets of Midgar and prepare for the bike race, you guessed it, it's time for another game crash. So, luckily, I hit the save point, which means I didn't really have to do much, but the game crashes were never fun. But with 37 days remaining, we take on the bike race, and I can specifically remember being really good at this part and the Gold Saucer minigame when I was younger, and I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the lines, I guess my coordination just went to pot. Never let me on a motorcycle. Never let me do motorcycle combat. You know, that's a better way of putting it. If we ever go to Mad Max, you know, no. Thunderdome? No. I will flunk out of that very quickly. But, you know, this whole section, it's a fun little distraction for what's coming next, because the motorball decides to really rock people if they don't take care of themselves, both mentally and physically. And that's what we are about to see. So starting off the motorball fight, you'll probably notice that I was a dum-dum, and in my setup, I did not prepare for the back attack and have to waste my first round setting everybody into the appropriate position, which just allowed the motorball to get some free shots. Not the end of the world, but yeah. Tifa's going to be throwing some grenades out. Cloud hits with Braver, and we just, you know, we sit here and we tank everything, making sure Barrett heals everybody, since we have that option, which is, I cannot stress this enough, it is so nice to do a casual playthrough again. The only challenging part of this was the stress from thinking that I was running out of time every 2 seconds, and just trying to micromanage all of my actions. The starting equipment only run was difficult. I mean, it was simple. You know, just attack and, you know, Red and Cloud casting spells. And I granted, I could have done better with the Vincent thing, but I really wanted the transformations, and it kind of backfired. If I could do it over again, I probably would have done Tifa or Yuffie. Most likely Yuffie, now that I'm thinking about it. But, you know, motorball's done, and my my tangent is also over. So with the defeat of the motorball, we get the section where everybody leaves Midgar, and the real run begins. Well, not really begins until after the calm, because we gotta go through the flashback, which I was really stressing over. I'm not gonna lie to you. But this is probably actually a really good time that I'm seeing this. A lot of this commentary is coming just off the cuff, and you can probably tell because I have a really bad habit of using us. You see, look at that. 37 days remaining, starting on February 7th. And you might be wondering, why does the in-game time not match up with the date? And there's a very specific reason for that. The in-game timer runs constantly. It will give you your true time of the run. Okay? Now, the calendar system doesn't run when the menu is open. So that's where the difference is. If you have the menu open, your day and night cycle is not going to advance.
But those worthless creatures, are stealing the planet from Mother. But now, I'm here with you, so don't worry.
Now, after we get done with the calm flashback, we decide to go and arm ourselves up with some new goodies. And that's when I remembered that Barrett gets access to melee weapons. I completely forgot about that. But that brings us into 36 days remaining. And we have a new problem. And I'm going to get a lot of flack for this.
You're gonna feel this one.
Like I did last time, but I wanted to get a chocobo to cross the swamp with, because it's the only chocobo that I was going to get in the entire game, and I wanted to ride the big fluffy chickens. So we ran in circles out in the fields to collect some money, because we blew all of our money on weapons and armor. Now, after that, we decide to go we decide to go see Chocobo William. And we get the Chocobo lore materia. And then we start running in circles trying to catch the magic chicken, which was a lot more trouble than it was worth. And I started to think that maybe, just maybe, I should just try and run across the swamp. But I'm stubborn, so I stuck it out, and I managed to get the golden bird about fifth, somewhere in there, fourth or fifth time, and we quickly made our way across the marshlands, and we never, ever high-fived the Zolom, because I had no patience for the Zolom. Shortly thereafter, we made our way through the Mithril Mines, getting the long-range materia, before proceeding through the night into Junin Harbor, where we met Priscilla down by the waterfront, and it makes a little more sense with the day and night cycle how this thing sneaks up on the little girl. Because in the daytime, how is nobody seeing that thing? It is massive. But I digress. We go into the bottom swell fight. I don't really know what you want me to say here. It's a bottom swell fight. We did manage to poison it. That was added damage. But no, bottom swell, not that big of a deal. The bubble mechanic, annoying, because it's similar to Pyramid. However, I forgot that you had to attack it with magic in order to get rid of it, and Tifa took a little bit of extra damage. Now, you know, we have access to weapons and armor in this run, so even though we are not as leveled as we were in the starting equipment run, it's not doing a whole lot. But this is actually a good point that I could probably point out that you have analog control, and with the right analog stick, you can change the orientation of the battle camera, and you can zoom in and out. So you can actually get a 360 and see what some of the monsters look like that usually stay off screen, which was really cool.
It's cool.
But we save Priscilla, we give her CPR, we rest the night at the old lady's house that conveniently has 3 beds, and then Priscilla gives us the Shiva Materia to add to the Pokedex. We do some dolphin jumping, and we climb to the top where we are getting ready for the president's coronation ceremony before he leaves for Junin to go to Costa del Sol. And we just have to ruin his parade. Not at all for the free grenade that we get. And we actually do a good job on the send-off. That way Heidegger will gift us with the Force Stealer for Cloud. I think you can get the Force Stealer later, but this is just a free way to get it, and you get it early. So we did that. We send off the president, and we board the ship headed for Costa del Sol. And we are quickly approaching the end of part 1 here. I'm recording this as I am finishing editing the other parts, and I believe we are looking at a 3-part series, just so I can go over everything a little bit more in detail. This, up to Costa del Sol, there's not a whole lot that happens. It's the Midgar section and the calm flashback for the most part. But we take our ship through the night, out over the ocean, and we prepare for what is to come. So as we zoom in, we run around the ship, we talk to everybody, we take a save, and we find Barrett spying on Heidegger and Rufus. Shortly thereafter, we get the notification that there's a stowaway on board. In the night, with 36 days remaining, we gather up the party, and we venture forth to try and see if we can find this stowaway, and if it is, in fact, Sephiroth, or not. After a little bit of management here, really I believe the general setup was Barrett was the healer, Tifa had the enemy skill, and Cloud had the basic spells and cover as well. But we find Sephiroth, and then we fight Genova Birth. We get to use our flashy new summon for the first time in this fight, and it is so nice. Again, I'm going to comment on this a few times, but it is so nice to be able to use more than just the attack button and 3 spells.
Make it easy on yourself.
It's a casual playthrough. It should not do this much for my happiness, but it does. Because the last time that I played this, I didn't have those options. Now, we are a little lackluster on the limit breaks at this point in time, and that's not going to change anytime soon, really. Cloud, I think, is the last one that we actually got the limit breaks for. But that's for a later conversation. This one, you know, fire spells, grenades, I believe, and limit breaks if they pop up. Keeping everybody healed, and Genova goes down relatively easily. She keeps trying to cast Stop on Cloud, but it doesn't work. None of our party gets slowed or anything in this fight, and really, it was just a standard fight. Wasn't nothing too difficult about it. I think actually, yeah, we finished it off with the limit break, which was nice. Also, the models for the weapons when they change, super crisp. However, with Genova defeated, I don't know how people are missing the commotion that fight would have made on a boat full of crew of Shinra. But anyways, we sneak off the boat. We go to Costa del Sol. We buy the Revive Materia, as well as grab all of the free items in the basement. And we spend a little time here micromanaging our items and just running around trying to find stuff. So we spent a whole day here, which we were at 36 days, but we were like right at the turning point of that. So it went to 35, and then we spent a day here. So now we are down to 34 days left on the clock. We set everybody up with their new items, new materia, and then we save and we prepare to go to Corel. We take some time and we make our way across the really, really long bridge, where we start to head into the next day. We then pass our way through Corel and get ready to board our way to the Gold Saucer before we get some of Barrett's backstory.
It happened when me and Dad had just left the village. Coral was burned to the ground by Shinra troops. The villagers, our families, everyone, they all perished together.
And after that really depressing scene, we get greeted by the intro video to the Gold Saucer. Now, I think with having the footage all sped up, it A, allows me to condense all of this a lot better, and B, I think I can keep the audio in, even if it is sped up, without too much hassle. But we get to the Gold Saucer, we figure out that I didn't plan appropriately when I bought all of our items, and we have to go back down and farm for some gil for a while, so we can afford a pass. And so, after scrounging up enough money, we make our way back to the Gold Saucer, we buy our pass, and we find out very quickly that we can't save. But, with 33 days remaining, we head into the Gold Saucer. We find some dead guards over at the Battle Square, we pick up Kate Sith, I believe it's the correct way to say it, and then we get arrested.
Is this your doing?
No, it wasn't us. Hurry, run! It's going to get ugly!
Seize them. That's as far as you go.
Wait!
We get chased into the arena before some guards capture us. We drop into Corel Prison, where we get more of Barrett's backstory about Dine, before we go and we hunt down Dine. The fight doesn't go very hard. It's pretty simple if you just throw Molotov cocktails at him. He really doesn't like it. Fire is not his friend. So, after Dine's final attack, he falls into the chasm, and we get to race the giant fluffy chickens. Now, the infinite stamina glitch, exploit, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't work in this. I think it's with the Seventh Heaven and the config files, but the infinite stamina glitch doesn't work in this. And we just got a really good lead off everybody, so we didn't really have to worry about it. So we win the race, get our freedom, we pick up the Rama Materia, and we add him to our Pokedex before we get Dio's buggy, and we begin our hunt for the elusive Yuffie. And no, it was not the first time. I was here for quite a while. However, 1 diamond dust and 1 use of bio later. And we get Yuffie on our team. Well, after the day change is over, and a little bit of coercion later, or manipulation, whatever you want to call it. With 32 days remaining, we get the first of the 2 optional characters that we need to beat this challenge.
Wait a second. So after something? So that's it. Give me my help, I said, village, right? Don't stop. Put me on that, alright. Okay, let's get going. Hey! Wait, I get Hey!
Now, after we pick up Yuffie, we head over to the Gungaga area, and we have a run-in with the Turks. But, since we have Tifa in our party, we really only have to worry about Reno. And worry is a pretty strong word. I mean, the 2 of them at this point are kind of pushovers. That and the fact that Rude will not attack Tifa, because at this point, we find out that not only does Rude have a crush on Tifa, Sung has a crush on Aerith. Young love. But
don't take it personal, bitches.
With Reno's potty mouth out of the way, we run around in the Gongaga area, and we come across this thing. My worst nightmare. This thing starts as a tiny little plant that's no bigger than the toads that you encounter, and very quickly evolves into this monstrosity that we barely made it out of. It brought us down to 3 HP and 2 dead party members before we finally woke up and escaped. However, after that, we pick up the Titan Materia and add them to our Pokedex before we head our way into Gongaga Village, home of Zack Fair. We take a rest at the inn, and one little facet of this is when you rest at an inn, time will advance. I want to say it's by about 6 hours with the way I had the config set up. However, after we get done in Gongaga, we head our way into Cosmo Canyon, where we make it to the town, get into a fight just before we enter, and right as we win and go to enter, our game crashes once again. So, we reload, head our way in. We meet Grandpa Bugenhagen, where we quickly get sucked into a lesson about the planet and the live stream in the planetarium. It's really nice and smooth to watch this in full 60. But yes, as we cross over into 31 days remaining on the clock, we take Barrett and Red, as well as Grandpa Bugenhagen, and we descend our way into the Gi Caves, where we struggled our way through before encountering the hardest boss in the game. I mean, the joke's been made countless times. It's not fun anymore. You throw the X potion, the boss dies, it's undead. You know, that whole shtick. Now here's where I did something for the very first time in any playthrough that I've done. I've never been one for the enemy skill materia. However, in my last challenge run I did, somebody brought it up that Big Guard is invaluable. However, due to the restrictions of the last run, I couldn't use the enemy skill. So, we spent a little bit of time running back and forth on the beach and hunting down the beach plugs so that we could get Big Guard. However,
I've heard that melody somewhere before.
After we grabbed Big Guard from the beach, we made our way to Nibelheim, where we stole Tifa's secret savings, talked to everybody in the town that gave us free items, namely the Sephiroth clones, and then we made our way into Shinra Mansion, where we had to do the infuriating safe puzzle. And it was infuriating simply because the game not being sped up, you couldn't do single digit manipulation on the dial. So it was really just too sensitive to get single digit bumps, and I had to do it multiple times as usual. However, once we got it open, we started the Lost Number fight. Now, Lost Number is a boss fight. It's an optional boss that you get here, and it has a special gimmick about it that I did remember this time, so we only had to do this fight once. But Lost Number, it has two components, a physical and a magical. Whatever type of damage you deal to it, to drop it below, I believe, half health, it will change into one of two forms. Its physical form or its magical form. Physical form obviously has high physical resistance and output, and vice versa for the magic. Now, what we wanted to do here is we wanted to save up everybody's limits. That way, when we did get it to change via magic, so it went into its magic form, everybody's limits hit for a lot of extra damage, and then we could just pummel it afterwards. And that is what we stuck with. Everybody getting set up, casting spell after spell after spell, and eventually wearing it down. Lost Number, not too difficult once you're aware of that and you're prepared for it. There's the switch. Here comes the limit breaks. Big guard, really nice, by the way. I was surprised how I had gone this long without ever knowing about it. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I've never used the manipulation materia until this run anyways. But with the death of Lost Number, we get two things. Well, three things, technically. We get the key to the basement, where we go and we get Vincent. And then we get the Odin materia, which will be very valuable later, if I remember correctly. Also, we get Cosmo Memory, or Red 13's final limit break. So that's one. That's one off the list. From there, we negotiate our way into getting Vincent to join us, and then we begin to make our way to Mount Nibble. We grab the Rune Blade for Cloud, play a game of Shoots of the Ladders, and we prepare for a fight that I really screwed up the last time that I played this game. I did a lot better this time. The Materia Keeper, who is absorbent to fire damage, not lightning damage. I don't know why I always think that. But we don't have Vincent, so we don't have to worry about that. The fight, it's a standard fight. Limits, spells, keep you healing up. Barret, Barret is our heal bot for this. And Big Guard. Big Guard is our new big player in the party setup. And believe me when I say we will be constantly using that skill. We don't get very many in this run, but that one is used a lot. Anyways, we keep our healing up, take down the Materia Keeper, get access to the Gem Ring, as well as the counter-attack Materia, which will be really nice later on. Very, very valuable later on. You'll see why. However, with 30 days remaining on the clock, take a little bit of a pause, look through to see what items we need to get. We play with the shoots, get all the items there, and then we proceed our way into Rocket Town, where we do some item shopping before we investigate Tiny Bronco and meet Shara, which then leads us into meeting Sid.
Who the hell are you?
And I absolutely love the person that got to play Sid, or to voice Sid. They did a fantastic job. It sounded exactly how I pictured him sounding when I played the game for the first time. We watched the failed rocket launch. We end up fighting Palmer, which Palmer's not too exciting of a fight. It's very boring. So I cut Palmer out. Nothing special happened. We won, and we steal the tiny Bronco so that Rufus can't get his hands on it.
Whoa! Whoa! Sid! What? Hop on! Oh, shit! Hang on tight, everyone!
So the tiny Bronco crashes back into the ocean. We learn how to quote unquote fly the tiny Bronco. And then we put our way around into 29 days remaining on the timeline. We learn about the keystone needed to get to the Temple of the Ancients, and it took me a minute to remember where it was at. So we then made our way back to the Gold Saucer. Once there, we find out that Dio is in possession of the keystone, and he will give it to us if we put on a show for him. So we enter the arena, and we put on a show. Not a very good show, but we did agree to the terms, and we got the item. We learned that the tram is out of order, and that we have to stay the night at the Gold Saucer. So we spend the evening talking about the Promised Land and the plans for the temple before we go on a date with Tifa.
So pretty. Look, Cloud. Cloud. Being all friends makes this difficult. It's so hard to find the right moment. Cloud.
After the date goes well, we learn that Cait Sith is unfortunately a traitor, and he stole the keystone. Now, we still have to go to the Temple of the Ancients, and Aerith is adamant about going with us. So, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith make their way to the Temple of the Ancients. From there, we see that the Turks are here, but they're injured, as well as some of those Sephiroth clones talking about a reunion. We make our way inside, we find Sung injured, like I mentioned, and then we have to navigate the endless stairwells of the Temple of the Ancients. We do so, and we grab all of the items that are in here. And then we have to play the rock game. Successfully, mind you. We play Catch the Magic Ghost, so that we get access to a save point, before we enter into a boss fight. Now, one thing we also did, and one area where I really messed up, was we fell down in the clock tower room, and we got the nail bat for Cloud. Very high damage output, which we need at this point. However, we failed to get the ribbon that is in the temple before we proceeded to this point, which means that we no longer have access to it. This causes problems later on. Anyways, the red dragon goes down without too much problems. Some of our materia levels up, we level up, and then we prepare to leave before we get jumped by the demon wall. Now, the demon wall gave me a hell of a time in the starting equipment only run. Not the case here. We have summons, we have spells, we have very strong equipment at this point. The only thing we don't have that we had then was levels. And we pretty much stun lock the demon wall into submission. It is not a hard fight. And once again, Big Guard really coming in handy here. Oh, that's right. And we also got the Bahamut summon, which we need to have all of the, well, 2 of them before we can get Terra Flare access. Bahamut 0, I believe? Yes. Anyways, the biggest thing that he is doing to us is Demon Rush, I believe. And with a few heals and the summons, he's not doing much. Big Guard is really helping us out. And, you know, just equipment. It really makes a difference.
She said, look,
Kate Sith
that makes me feel kind of happy.
takes it upon himself to be the sacrifice within the temple, as the temple will condense down into the black materia, but whoever's left inside will cease to be.
What happened?
And since he is a robot, which, that's a conversation, because is the cat the robot? Is the Moogle the robot? Are they both robots? Which part is Reeve controlling? Anyways, he sacrifices himself.
Not to protect the planet. There's plenty of... Don't forget... Alright.
Now, Cloud blacks out after having an episode, and when he wakes up, Aerith is missing. However, he knows where she is from a vision that he had. Aerith has gone to the city of the ancients, and where's that at? The northern continent. So we have to go to the icicle area, and by the time we get there, we have 27 days left on the clock, and we are not done with Disc 1 yet. Disc 1 has the, I want to say, has the longest portion of the story on it. However, we dig for the Lunar Harp, make our way down towards the City of the Ancients, we pick up the Comet Materia. As we keep descending, a feeling washes over us. An uneasy feeling. And then we find her. Genova gets dropped on the party from above as Sephiroth flees. And with the water ring equipped, a couple of our summons, and Barrett on healing duty, we end up making fairly short work of the monstrosity before us. Before we have to move on. We lay Aerith to rest before we move north to the snowfields. And with 26 days remaining, we are preparing for more game crashes. after reloading, before we head to Gaia's Cliff, we have to grab a snowboard and a map. And then we have to play SSX Tricky. So we stay at the, what is the base camp, I guess you would call it. And with 25 days remaining, we scale Gaia's Cliff. And we navigate the labyrinthine structures of the mountain. We get into a pretty heated argument with some very large hanging icicles. But we knock them down and clear our path forward. Now, I am going to leave it out because it was too long, and even sped up, it was like 3 minutes. So, there was a marble fight on the way up to this portion before this dragon decided to jump me. And because of the armlet that I had equipped to Cloud, the marble couldn't kill him. But he just kept putting everybody to sleep and turning them into toads, and then healing Cloud until Cloud was the last one left. And it drug on, and we got the bad breath enemy skill, but it was not worth it. And this dragon, however, we got a dragon armlet from it, and that helped us out a lot, because we are now fighting Schizo, or Shizo, or Shizo. Last name Frenia. Now, this fight gave me a lot of problems in the standard equipment only, and I had to backtrack a lot in order to do some grinding. We didn't have to do that here. With our current equipment and our current materia loadouts, you know, we have people taking half damage and getting healed by the boss throughout the entirety of the fight. All we have to do is focus on which head we're taking out first, use our summons, use the appropriate magic, as Schizo has 2 elements, and they're on alternating heads. So if you use the wrong one on the wrong head, you'll heal the boss. But we take the first one out, everybody's still doing great. Big guard, humming in clutch, yet again. We focus our attacks on the second head of Schizo. Ooh, Schizo. I'm gonna start calling him Schizo. Anyways, we focus our attacks, we get our limit breaks, which are really nice at this point. And unfortunately, before we finish the fight, he takes out Tifa. Literally the move before we finish it. So Tifa did not get a nice experience bump out of that. But we make it to the top of the crater. We see the large Colosseum-like structure there with the life stream spewing forth. And we descend. We find more of the clones. We get our second Bahamut materia. So now we're 2/3 of the way there. We navigate our way through the wind maze and we crash again. So yeah, we have to redo the wind maze, which is so much fun with Master Tonberries around. Well, maybe not Master Tonberries. Anyways, now we're fighting Genova Death. So with the fire ring and our dragon armlet and don't think those are actually the only two. This fight's not terrible. We're doing a lot of damage. Genova not really doing a whole lot, except for the fact that she silenced Barret. So we don't have healing via the cure spell or the life spell. But I believe we still get Big Guard off, or did. Even though we don't really need it. I mean, Barret's not taking any damage, Tifa's getting healed, and Genova death, not that hard. Really not that hard. See, look at that. Piece of cake. Cloud did almost die though, but we'll ignore that. So we move forward. We give Red the black materia to hold on to. And then Cloud has another breakdown.
Thanks. I'll take it. Okay.
Red gives him the black materia.
Give me the black materia.
And then we give it to Sephiroth. Black materia goes out. The weapons awaken, and the life stream bursts forth, while everybody else escapes on the high wind. And there's our boy, ultimate weapon. I'm very excited to see them later on, because I can actually use the final weapon in this one. But the Shinra ship flies off. Tifa wakes up. Barret breaks the bad news. And we march forward to witness Meteor has been summoned. With 23 days remaining, we have a lot left to get done. So, after we escape from Junin via the tactically acquired Highwind, we take a quick flight down to the Medial Islands, a lovely place this time of year where the light from Meteor's surface gives the waters a nice purple hue. Lovely for vacations. But we arrive, and late into the evening we go shopping briefly before petting a lost puppy and overhearing some people talking about a certain spiky-haired main protagonist-looking individual. We quickly run inside of the doctor's shack, and we find our boy Cloud in a vegetative state. After a brief conversation, Tifa elects to stay by his side, and Sid steps up to take charge of the crew and begin the hunt for the huge materia, with Sid, Red, and Barret now as our temporary party, with 22 days now remaining. Our first stop on this journey takes us back to Corel, where we train hop our way through Mount Corel, fighting off Shinra bots, soldiers, secret weapons, and what looks to be a missing part of Voltron, before finally making our way to the control car. Now, this section isn't all that bad. I mean, there is a time limit, but it doesn't really take that long to get through this. Especially not with haste, limit breaks, and Barret being able to throw out magic breath for a decent chunk of damage each time. And so, really, with just over 2 minutes to spare, we end up taking out the captain and beginning our desperate attempt to slow the train cars down before they crash into Barret's hometown. And we succeed, gaining the first of the 4 huge materias. Now, the town gathers around to give us a thanks for saving everyone,
and the small child hands us the Ultima Materia, which will help us out a lot later on. So we rest here for the night, and then we head over to one of the shacks where we get Barrett's final limit break, Catastrophe, knocking another one off of that list. After we put a stop to the destruction of Corel, we fly our way over to Fort Condor in the evening of the 23rd, and prepare to put a stop to the Shinra siege on the reactor. This is done using the fast method, as you just saw, of lowering the spawn line and setting up attackers to quickly wipe the field and win early. Really, just because I don't want to mess with this minigame any longer than I have to, just because of how slow it moves. So, after that, we grab the Phoenix Materia, get the huge Materia, and then fly back to Medivh, where we meet up with Tifa right before Ultimate Weapon attacks the town, and this fight really is just a damage checkpoint, and even though we forgot we had the Reflect Ring equipped on Sid, which caused a minor problem with healing the boss, we hold our own against the flying magic dragon and chase him away. But not before he triggers an earthquake to hit our cozy vacation spot, prompting everyone to book it for the high wind, with Tifa and Cloud getting caught in the fall and tumbling into the live stream, where we prepare for dialogue hell, but the game crashed and I had to do all of that over again. So I just went ahead and cut the Cloud memory section out, and here we are now with Cloud giving his apology speech, and we have control of him once again with 21 days remaining on the clock. And now, with Definitely Not Guts back as our party leader, we can resume our goal of stopping Definitely Not Griffith by flying our way to Junin once more and descending down into this underwater submarine docks to steal the third of the huge materia away from Rufus Shinra's grubby little hands. So we reach the holding area and watch as the huge materia is carted off and loaded into a red Shinra sub before we notice that there is a familiar face down here with us. Reno's back, and he is overseeing the transport of the huge materia. He's not happy to see us, but he also doesn't have the time to mess with us personally. So, after he runs off, he gets one of the loading bots to take his place, which drops us down into the carry armored boss fight. And boy, did I hate this boss fight this time around. See, when I did the starting equipment only run, I had zero problems with the carry armor fight. It was like a night and day difference between this run and that one in difficulty. Like, here we started off with some summons, we tried to get Big Guard out, we have some revives, but that laser attack decimated us this first go around, and we ended up getting our first game over screen as a result. So we loaded back up, and I don't know, I think the plan was to try and, stun lock him with every summon that we had, not to worry about Big Guard, and then keep Cure going around as fast as possible in an attempt to hit everything and knock out the arms the best we could. Because the moment Barrett got grabbed, there was no healing. Or there wouldn't have been barely any healing, really. And, everything in this was just eating damage. Eating it. Bahamut summons, Odin, Magic Breath. It took a lot to get those arms out of the way. And I'm telling you, it was just the Buster Sword, Red, Cloud, casting magic on individual targets, and then Vincent being stuck in a transformation that was essentially useless, was easier than this normal run, and I don't understand it. But we beat it, so we're gonna move on. Once Carry Armor was defeated, and in the early morning of the next day, we sank the Shinra sub, got huge materia number 3, and raced our way to Rocket Town to blast off into space aboard the Shinra number 26.
Once in space, we climb the ladder to the holding cell and begin to try and code crack our way to grabbing the final huge materia. We get 3 tries for $1, but really we only need 1 to break in, like the super hackers that we are. And once we have the huge materia in our grasp, we begin to make our way back down through the ship and jettison ourselves back into space towards Gaia. The Shinra number 26 makes its final ascent and approach and impacts with Meteor, rolling a small chunk of it into orbit around the Calamity, but ultimately failing in its mission. But now, with 19 days remaining on the clock, and us having all 4 of our fancy rocks, we take them back to Grandpa Bugenhagen and let him store them in his planetarium, where we obtain Bahamut Zero and make our way back down. This is where we go off on a bunch of side portions, specifically for weapons and limit breaks. And we start with Tifa. So we have to take a detour back all the way back to Nibelheim, where we play Tifa's piano, and we get Final Heaven. From there, it is appropriate that we have to go back to the Bone Village and dig up the Sector 5 gate key. We head back, we have our Aerith vision in the church, and then we proceed back to Wall Market, where Sid fixes the machine that was previously broken, and we get Tifa's final weapon. Now, just to get a jump on some things, we did grab the key to the Ancients before we took Vincent to get his side quest started, and then we delved into the Gelnica to grab the Conformer for Yuffie, which that weapon is just fantastic all the time because of how it works. It's based on enemy levels instead of player stats or materia or health. You know, it plays off of enemy stats more than player stats. Regardless, we take the key to the Ancients, grab Bugenhagen, and we go back to the city of the Ancients, I almost said temple, to see the answer that we have been looking for. Holy. The materia that Aerith was preparing to try and use to fix everything is the answer. However, Shinra has a different answer, and that answer is large gun go boom. We leave and prepare to fly to the northern crater, I believe, when Diamond Weapon surfaces and begins to march on Midgar. We take some time and piss off Diamond Weapon with the High Wind, and then we get into a fight with the big guy. A fight that we can't win by normal means, so Big Guard comes in really handy here, because Diamond Weapon does pack a punch, and can only really be damaged by magic, summons, and limit breaks. And we get to use Bahamut Zero for the first time here, and look at our dragon. It looks so beautiful. Oh, and I should probably also mention, we have gotten level 3 limit breaks on pretty much, well, on Barret and Tifa. But Cloud is lagging behind for the first time in any of my runs, which is interesting because Cloud has been present in the majority of fights, aside from when Sid was in charge. So I don't know why he got left behind as much as he did. But after one final blow from Barret and his satellite beam, we put an end to Diamond Weapon's rampage. Or at least the worst part of it. You know, we stopped him from actually getting the Midgar. With the fight over, Diamond Weapon starts to feel inadequate and begins to walk away from Midgar, giving Midgar and the Sister Ray the opportune moment of firing off a blast of Mako Beam energy strong enough to put down a weapon and potentially
crack our way into the northern crater. Also, quick thing. Because I don't really know about the continuity of a lot of stuff between titles, unless they're direct titles. Were the weapons in the Kingsglaive movie supposed to be the same as the weapons from VII? Or is it just, you know, I mean, because I know weapons are universal, but Diamond Weapon looked identical. Anyways, 17 days remaining now, and we parachute our way into Midgar. We grab the double item Materia, and our game crashes like 4 separate times when trying to get past the Reno fight, so I cut all that footage out. We stole the special equipment from the 3 Turks before we proceed up back to the surface, and, well, we get confronted by Heidegger and Scarlet and the Proud Claude. The fight, not hard. It was not hard in the starting equipment only run, and really the only difficulty is that he has a massive health pool. And now that, you know, we have good equipment and we can use high-powered spells and weapons, it really does not take that long to put him down. Hey, there we go. We get a couple of levels ups, and that fight took us well into the early hours of March the 0th. Zerost? I've never experienced a 0 date on a calendar, so I don't know exactly what to use for that. But with the addition of March 0th being involved now, that moves our deadline from the 16th of March to the 15th of March. Just so that the numbers work out. The extra day being the 0th. Anyways, we get the missing score for Barrett, and we move to fight Hojo. I have a bad history with Hojo, and it was very cathartic after the first challenge run that I did that I very, very nearly quit at this part of the game because of how frustrating it was to do this with only starting equipment. And even though we don't have a ribbon, again, my fault, nowhere near as annoying as it was without the availability of materia and higher tier armor and weapons. Regen, big guard, double cut. It is a very, very, very nice playthrough. And this section right here specifically was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because the last time that I messed with him was in the starting equipment only run. A couple of Bahamut blasts to the face will make anybody rethink their priorities in life. So we get the magic space dragons and we blow Hojo to Kingdom Come. And because of the aspect ratio, the widescreen patch, some of the summoning screens, they have an overlay that is only on the 4x3 patch, and it just, there's nothing I can do about it. I didn't think about it when I was recording it, and here we are. So, even though we are asleep, Hojo is not going to be around for very much longer. Especially not after getting the tombstone from Tifa. So, put Hojo in his place, hop into the high wind, and supercharge, blast our way back into exploration. And now, with just a little bit over 2 weeks left in the run, we decide to go back to item and limit hunting, and we start with Vincent. We get the death penalty in Chaos, we grab Hades and High Wind from the Gelnica, and at that point, we are at 15 days left, and we start trying to grind for our main party's limits to, you know, actually be able to use them. We spend a little bit of time there, and then we run our way back to Rocket Town, where we get Venus Gospel. We stop back and see Bugenhagen, and we get the Limited Moon for Red. And I never knew how his worked, but I tried it, and it was nice. after that, we decided to spend a little bit of time up in Wutai, there we go. And because in Wutai, even though we had a game crash, you can farm X potions. Because I still have no idea if you can buy X potions somewhere, and I refuse to look it up because I'm stubborn. But we run around on the mountain for a while, grab some X potions, grab all the extra items, and then just to reflect on everything that we've done so far, we spend the remainder of the night and we watch the sun rise over the land of Wutai, putting us at exactly 2 weeks remaining on the timetable. Okay, Cloud, run to the right. Thank you. And after we sit and watch the sunrise, we go to the pagoda of the 5 gods. 4 gods? 5 gods. And we fight our way up the tower with Yuffie. With the Conformer, counterattack, and double cut on her, no problems whatsoever. Everything goes down in about 1 hit. Well, 2 to 3 hits, technically. Anyways, we get all creation and the Leviathan materia. And look at this. We have Catastrophe, Final Heaven, Cosmo Memory, All Creation, Chaos, High Wind. We're looking good on side quests. And we decided to push our luck and go to the Northern Crater for a bit, which did not go super great. And we don't want to grind there, so instead we go back to the Medial area. And we single out Tifa to get her up to her final limit break, as well as Barret. And once we do that, we go magic space dragon hunting, which takes an entire day because you have to chase him around the whole map, and yeah. Fun fact, I didn't know about this until this run because I looked it up. I know, I looked something up. I'm terrible. But if you put the added effect or the elemental materia on an armor piece, and you stack it with Hades and or one of the Bahamut's. Hades gives you, immunity to pretty much any status effect. And then if you use Elemental and Bahamut, elementless magic attacks will heal you, and you take reduced physical damage. Never would have guessed that in a million years. But anyways, Space Dragon fight goes pretty smooth. Tifa unfortunately does not get the nice experience bump, which we could have used at this point, but we get Ultima Weapon, and then with 12 days remaining on the clock, March 4th, we have to grind for the hardest thing to get in the game. Well, not necessarily the hardest, but, I'm trying to do this fast, and I don't have a lot of time to go and grind out perfect materia combinations. So, we run the battle square a lot. I had to do like 4 resets before we got it. Anyways, we get Omni Slash, and we grab the Apocalypse from, well, whatever that weird place is, before we go and spend the next couple of days hunting purple worms to near extinction, like the good poachers we are, and we level up Materia before we prepare to go spelunking and diving down into the Northern Crater. The game crash happens, we reset, we redo that portion, and then we begin our descent. Quad cut, so nice. And you'll be wondering, you might be asking, well, why don't you have all the weapons equipped at this point? And that is because there were still some materia that I really wanted to level up, and if I had, put them on the ultimate weapons, they wouldn't get anything. So, Master Tomberries, dragons, elixir pots, we got a couple more on the way down. That way we could prep for the 2-party system, as well as just set everybody up to, have the best chance possible. The actual Northern Cave at this point, not that bad. So, we get down to the fork in the road. We split everybody off to go do their item hunting. And I believe we head to the left? Or down? Well, left and down. Either way, we send everybody off, and we begin our descent down into the cave towards Genova. We spend an annoying amount of jumps trying to grab the Mega All Materia, which you'll see something that might infuriate you in a bit, but I have a reason for it. And at this point, we have a week left. We have a week left on the clock as we approach the final Genova fight. And now is when we equipped all of the final weapons. And we switch out Cloud's quad cut to Tifa and give Cloud /all. You might be asking, why would you switch that out? And the answer to that is, well, because since his weapon is based on HP, and I don't trust the game to be kind to me, I don't want him doing minimal amounts of damage when I have to heal every turn. Tifa does a sky-high amount of damage at any point in time, and the more her limit gauge fills, it increases. But I digress. We finish off Genova with an Omni Slash, and then we fall to the center of the planet, where we come face to face with Sephiroth, and our two-party split begins. Now, there's a very simple way to do this fight, and that's just to constantly outdamage the healing that the head portion can do, and we very well, possibly could do that at this point. I wanted to have a little bit of fun. This is a Canon run after all, so I wanted to give everybody that I could a chance to actually get into the fight. Just because, we have everybody's final weapons. I want to let them use it. I want to give all of them the chance to actually be in the fight. And, at this point I was just having fun with it. I mean, Tifa could probably single-handedly out-damage the healing. Tifa could single-handedly out-damage the healing, and we'd be done in a couple of turns. But we have summons I want to see, like Leviathan, I want Red to get a chance to get a few shots in for Bugenhagen. Low poly Sephiroth is a little less than desirable to look at, but, it's fine. This one, right here, this attack. Stigma? I never knew he had an attack like that. It's not that bad. It just poisons people. But it looks cool, and I've never seen it. How am I still finding things about this game that I don't know about? And I did make a mistake. I didn't save, everybody's limits like I was planning on to see how much damage we could pump out to Safer before ending this, so really only Barret is going into the next fight prepped. My mistake. But Safer Sephiroth descends upon us now. The one-winged angel himself. Big guard goes out. Regen is applied. Tifa begins her assault. And Cloud, just takes his slashes where he can get him. Barret getting his limit break off. I think for the first time, actually. No, we used it against Diamond Orbit as well. We get the chance to throw out a Bahamut. Even with, Protect, Tifa throwing out some good damage. Pale Horse goes out. Doesn't affect Cloud. And then Tifa finishes the fight. We didn't even have to do a supernova rotation. This is why I'm saying, we could have made Bizarro so much faster, but I really just wanted to let everybody have a chance to get in on it. But with Safer done. Cloud descends into the life stream again and confronts the final avatar of Sephiroth.
Don't see the lights like you could. Don't push your luck, Cloud.
Sephiroth.
And the iconic moment draws in. And with Sephiroth defeated, there's still one last thing that I have to go over before we finish up here. Because of how long the bottom of the crater took, we still have to calculate how much time the ending actually took us on the calendar. So, using the last save point as the timestamp and tallying up the remaining time it took to finish the game, which was 1 hour and 6 minutes, and an hour is equal to about 1.88 days with the day-night cycle. It would have taken us only 2 more days to finish the final couple bosses in the crater, which that would put us at March 11th, 3 days ahead of the March 15th deadline. I could have used like 2 more days to go and grind, but you know, I didn't want to chance it. And another thing, that means that yes, it is possible to beat Final Fantasy VII within the canon timeline of 44 days. Friends, I just want to say thank you all for hanging out for the finale of this run. It has been super fun. And looking back on it all, I will say that while not a difficult run by challenge run standards, having the ticking clock in the background, it makes it feel all the more daunting because you don't want to stop. You know, unless you're a speedrunner that can clear this game in like 6 hours. You can definitely do that. But I just want to say thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, then feel free to drop a like and a comment down below and tell me what you thought about the run. I will be doing a supercut of everything so that, you know, it's... If anybody wants to go back and watch the entire thing from start to finish, you don't have to jump through videos. But if you do want to see more, there's a couple of things in the works. I don't want to talk about them too much yet, but there's some ideas. But if you do want to see more, then consider hitting that subscribe button. I would definitely appreciate it. Remember to take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video.